Okay, in our Hero 2 demo here, we're going to cover how to uh, load patterns, use patterns in the background, use patterns in your image, and also use line patterns in typography. So the first thing we'll want to do is actually download some patterns or make your own, just like we covered in the previous demo. Now I did a small spot illustration background pattern, but you can use line patterns as well, or circles, or shapes, or even triangles. So again, it's up to you, it's up to your imagination what you can come up with. But to get started on downloading some patterns, if you come to Canvas, there is a patterns for Photoshop zip file that you can download, and there's probably about 200 patterns that you can experiment with. So once you downloaded those, to actually import, it's quite easy. If you go to Edit, Presets, and to Preset Manager, what this does, and this also works for brushes and swatches and gradients and everything you can kind of work with here. Under Patterns, you can hit Load. And once I hit Load, these are the patterns that I've downloaded. I can select the one I want to work with or import all of them, hit Open, and what it'll do is it'll load these patterns in the place, and you can see we have line patterns, pluses, X's, and so on. And then you can just hit Done. So those patterns will be loaded, and you can apply them the same way we did in the previous demo. If I click on the layer that I want to apply it to and add an effect, so again through the effects menu here I can select pattern overlay, it'll pop that up, and then I can just select patterns that I would like. So again, I click here and I can do overlay, multiply, and kind of experiment with my options. So I'm just going to select overlay, and you can kind of click through and you can see that this makes a plus pattern, this makes as a checkerboard pattern, square, and so on. And so you can start to experiment with what you think might be your best option for your design. Also, I have really fine line patterns that you can work with, so I'm just going to select one of those, and that's how you would apply a background pattern to your design. You can see here that once I select that pattern, maybe I didn't cut the image out the greatest, so I got to go back into this image and cut it out a little bit better. Also, the same way that we have applied a pattern to a background, we can do the same for when we are working with an image. So if I select this image here and we zoom in a little bit, I can do the same with the image. I can fill it with any type of stripe pattern, playing around with the overlay and trying to find that right kind of dot pattern. So I kind of like a really tight line pattern because it gives it a little bit of a photocopy effect, and it gives it a little texture to the image. Again, the same will be applied when you're looking at the other image I have here. Again, you're just going to select on the image, double click if you already have the filter, do the pattern overlay, and again, all the patterns you have, anything can be applied, texture, image, line. There's just quite a few options you can work with. And then lastly, type. You can do the same thing with type. A lot of times you want to use it if you have a bolder typeface, a thin, you can't quite notice the difference. But again, if I hit pattern overlay, oop, I had the wrong thing selected. Here we go. You can see that I can also apply patterns to type. So again, I have dot patterns, line patterns, halftone patterns to work with. So what this does is it helps add texture to your overall design and allows you to experiment with image creation and putting together your own composition versus just using one image. So again, the compositional strategy I put together here was just to use scale and then also look at compositional space. So a lot of these things just line up off of the typography that I have. You can see that the negative space around this record player actually fits nicely in harmony with the typography that I selected. Same with noticing the space off the L here and the shape of the image here and how those two work together. And then also the actual angle of the record player and how it works at leading your eye into the overall design. So each one of these objects also varies in scale as well. So again, compositionally, just looking at the space and the negative space is one of the key things. Again, what this shape is, what this shape is, and what these shapes make really help you to see how the composition should come together.